going to be challenging and discussing traditional gender roles in parenting, talking about how Thomas feels about now being a stay-at-home dad and how I feel about being a working mum and main breadwinner for our family at the moment. Hi guys, I'm Cara and this is my husband
Hello.
Thomas, and welcome back to my channel. We have a 25-month-old toddler called Ben, and I make a video about being a toddler parent every single week, so if that's something that you're interested in, please remember to hit subscribe below. So we're going to start today by talking a little bit about how we parent.
I think our situation so far is a little bit unique and also kind of lucky because we really both got to spend lots of time with Ben and almost 50-50 shared the parenting.
Yeah, kind of after maternity leave, so obviously at the start I had to feed Ben, but then it was pretty much 50-50.
And it was just solely because we were both self-employed, so we could arrange our own timetables and we can swap around and make sure both of us, and we also had lots of time, the three of us together, which was really, really nice.
I think Thomas and I both feel pretty strongly about being strong influences in Ben's life, that we both really love parenting, we're keen parents, and we're also very conscious parents, so we like to know why we're doing things. I think that when we're both so involved in Ben's life, it's really important that definitely in some fundamental things we present a united front so that he really knows where he stands. So things like dealing with tantrums, I feel like we need to know what we're going to do in those situations so that there's a lot of continuity for Ben.
Also big things like how we deal with sleep and like potty training, that we both have like the same approach and are like consistent within.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously these fundamental things do change as Ben grows up, so new situations arise and initially we deal with them quite differently, and then we actually have to sit down and have a discussion about how are we going to deal with that. I do definitely research and read on parenting a lot more than Thomas does. I'm kind of the one who brings the suggestions to the table a lot of the time, but it's also something that I really enjoy researching, and I love to understand why I'm doing something.
I've read like 2 books on fundamental parenting approaches, which I really enjoyed and learned lots of it, but like all the practical things normally Cara fills me in.
Yeah, and at the moment I'm really inspired by respectful parenting and also the Montessori approach, and I will link some of my favourites down below for you, and if you're interested actually in seeing a video about our kind of favourite parenting books, we'd definitely be up for making something like that, so please let us know down in the comments below. When it comes to our identities as parents, I feel it's actually something I really struggled with. So when we first had Ben and essentially I wasn't going to work, I was just at home, I felt like I was just constantly feeding and changing nappies, and I kind of lost my identity just in this being new mum identity, which I really didn't feel confident in. And actually when I went back to work when Ben was around 9 months old, I just felt so much better. I felt like I could go, I could teach, which is something that I know I'm really good at. I knew how to do that, and it was almost like a breath of fresh air for me, and I actually feel like I became a better parent when I started working.
Yeah, I do think you were generally a happier person once you started work again, and once you had a better balance between BB life and non-BB life.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. For me, I think it was actually the first 9 months were the opposite, because I wanted to spend more time with Ben and less time at work, and I was doing most of the part because Cara was home, and so I only had the mornings and the evenings. And I also think what was very, very hard, that as a dad you can't be as involved at the start, especially when the mother is breastfeeding, because it's just not something that we do, and I think it's something that creates a very strong bond between the baby and the parent. And it also meant that actually during the nights I couldn't help that much.
Or you just didn't wake up because he sleeps like a rock.
And because I couldn't help, I stopped waking up. And because I couldn't make a bottle because he was breastfed, and then Cara, especially at the start, woke up almost every hour and then was super grumpy. But I didn't know how to help, and there wasn't really any way. Which meant I slept, Cara didn't sleep, she was very grumpy, was struggling, I didn't really know how to help her.
I had a profound feeling of hate for Thomas when he got up in the morning and he had a full 8 hours of sleep.
And quite often she just woke up and said I feel this really strong rage and anger towards you. And
I can laugh about it now, but at the time it was not funny.
But because I couldn't do those things, I really tried to be as involved in all other aspects. So if it's nappy changing or bathing or playing or carrying him on me, or also taking him to baby groups, like toddler groups. I did as much as Kara, and what was very, very important for me, that we both created strong bond right from the start.
I also think it's interesting that when it came to starting a family, Thomas was definitely more keen and definitely was driving that we should start a family earlier. When I say early, it wasn't really early. I was 28 when I had Ben. Thomas was 30. But in comparison to my friend group here, we were the first in my friend group to have a child. It's quite different to Germany.
Very different in Germany. When we had Ben, lots of them were already in the second, or some of them on the third children, and started when they were like 25.
And Thomas is also definitely more keen on having a bigger family than I am, which is interesting because Thomas is from a very small family and I'm from a much bigger family.
It kind of works in opposite ways. But for me, it's just always because I was a single child. I didn't have any aunts or uncles or grandparents, really. They died relatively young. So I never had like the big Christmas come-togethers, and it's something I had saw in lots of other families, and I always wanted to kind of create for my family.
So let's have a chat about our gender roles in parenting. Definitely some things can happen quite naturally that fall into traditional gender stereotypes. Some of it is actually due to anatomy. So for example, I did breastfeed Ben until he was 18 months old. So he did have a very strong connection with me on an emotional level and on a caregiving level.
Every time he was upset or hurt himself or was distressed, it was naturally that he was going to Kara.
Yeah. And that is still the case in some respects. Definitely not as much as it used to be, but I'm definitely more the caregiver in Ben's eyes.
I also think your own passions and hobby play a big part into what kind of role you take into in the life. And I've always been Kara's definitely sporty, but I would say I'm the sporty, especially when it comes to climbing and adventurous stuff.
Risk taking.
And the risk taking. So I feel I fit very stereotypically into the role of doing all the adventure climbing, risky things with Ben and throwing him around and letting him climb up trees.
Yeah, which sometimes makes my heart skip a beat.
But so in this way, I think I'm the more fun parent when it comes to outdoors, and I think it's also really interesting that now he wants, when we're outside, he wants me to go with him on the playground or to the forest to do any form of exploration. But then equally, when we're inside, Kara's really good at arts and drawing. If he wants to draw something, he always just goes to Kara and asks her, and just says no, Papa, no, when I want to draw stuff with him. So he definitely knows whom to go to for what.
And even though we tend to fit into those kind of more stereotypical roles, we definitely try to learn from one another. So now when I'm at the playground with Ben, I will definitely have more confidence in him climbing higher ladders because I know that he's capable and I've seen him do that with Thomas.
It's the same for me. I hated singing nursery rhymes at the start. I probably know one or two from my childhood. But he loves it, and Kara sang so much with him, so I just made a conscious effort of learning more German songs and saying to him, even though I'm really not confident singer, and take that forward so that I'm also involved in that part of his upbringing.
Yeah, and I genuinely think that Thomas is an awesome dad. Ben is exceptionally
So
lucky to have an awesome dad. Good.
So
Our family life is definitely undergoing quite a lot of change at the moment. So because of COVID-19 social distancing restrictions and therefore restrictions on education, the business that Thomas and I ran together isn't really able to operate at a normal level. So we made the decision that I would start working and that Thomas would be a stay-at-home dad with Ben. This totally makes sense for us. The business that we ran is very much in my field, that's what my studies are in, and I've also, through the business, gained a lot of experience that made it pretty easy to find a job. Thomas took a big shift away from what he studied when we started the business together. Also, I would say that in general, having a professional identity is really important for me, whereas I feel like it's not as important for Thomas.
Definitely true. Kara's, I think, definitely more ambitious and also needs or wants to use the things she's learned for a purpose and wants to keep working with that and keep learning in that professional career and developing in that as a professional. Whether I am more laid back and see the fulfillment in creating a family, building the home that we just bought and doing it up and renovating and exploring, spending time in nature. These are all very things that make me very happy, and are totally enough for me.
Yeah. I'm also very lucky in the sense that I genuinely love what I do, which I think is a huge bonus, what I do in a professional sense.
We are definitely treating this all as a little bit of an experiment, and already see like potential challenges and conflicts and risks, and I'm really looking forward to spending a lot of time with Ben. I think it will be firstly very, very good for his German, since he definitely hears more English while we're living here in Scotland.
And we'll also soon go to nursery, where it'll be primarily in English as
Exactly, so even more. I'm also like really actively trying to set up more play dates and find more play dates, especially with other Germans living here in Scotland. These are all things that I can then really do and push. As much as I'm looking forward to spending more time with Ben, I am also more than a little bit nervous about having more responsibility when it comes to his learning, his emotional development, and which was so far really shared 50-50, and it will probably be like 70-30, 80-20. I am planning to read another 1 or 2 books and maybe listen to some podcasts and let Kara give me good advice before. But I do feel some pressure to live, because I think so far he has developed really well, and we're both really happy with it, and then now it's more me that it keeps going this way.
I think from my point of view, I am really excited about starting work again and all the kind of opportunities that will bring. I am slightly nervous about how our dynamic will change, and I really hope that I'm not going to start resenting Thomas for the amount of time that he gets to spend with Ben. For me, it would almost be better to have that 9-month maternity leave with Ben when he's 2. I am definitely not a newborn mum, but I absolutely love the age and stage that Ben is at the moment. I absolutely love spending time with him. He's just turned into such an awesome little person, and I hope that I don't become jealous of that time that Thomas has with Ben.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a risk eventually, and I'm not sure if it will be too much for me, and that I get to a point where Kara was earlier, where I just want to have more time for myself and do something else, especially because there aren't many baby groups on just now, or toddler groups, so it's not as easy to bring them to the grandparents because of all the restrictions again. And I also don't want to get to the point that when Kara's not working, that I want to just do my own things, because I want all 3 of us to do things together, and not just like me 4 days with Ben and then Kara for these 3 days with Ben.
We've also tried to find a little bit of balance by me starting work 4 days a week, so that we still have 3 days together as a family.
Another thing I'm nervous, and that I've experienced before, it is terrifying and sometimes slightly awkward to only be the only dad in all those groups, because 9 out of 10 times there will just be no dad with a toddler. It's all moms, and some of them are very supportive, others find it very strange that the wife is working and the dad is staying at home, and it makes me nervous. It does make me nervous.
And old ladies tend to compliment you on your ability to be a dad.
It's something really funny that I got it lots at the start when I was out with Ben, and I changed his nappy somewhere in the coffee, and I was like, oh, good on you, like you can totally handle the situation, like you're so involved as a dad. It's like, why wouldn't I? Like,
and would you say that to a mum? Probably not.
No, it would be naturally for a mum to go out for a coffee with his toddler, but it's not for a dad. So
yeah. I also am really interested in how it changes our relationship dynamic, with me being the only breadwinner and you being at home.
Do we need to ask for pocket money?
Maybe.
Nah. The bottom line is, for me, like, life changes for everybody all the time, and for us, we just came at a crossroads where we had to make a decision to change our family dynamics. Kara's going back to work. I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad. We are aware that there are challenges and risks. But at the end of the day, if it's not working and we're not happy with the situation, we can always change it, and we can find a different solution.
I would also love to hear from you, so please let me know in the comments what your family dynamic is and how it works for you. I also have quite a few videos that I've made with Thomas having some general parenting chit chat, so I'll make sure I'll link those for you at the end of this video as well, in case you want to check them out. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you'll join me again soon. Bye bye!
Bye bye!